So welcome back to I've Heard That. I'm so excited. I have two new guests that have never been on before. So welcome, Chris Gorman. Welcome, Meg Ryan. Tell me what you guys do here.
Oh, I do everything. Meg does most of the stuff. Why don't you go first and then I'll go?
So I am the events and experience manager. I program the space to have anywhere from 3 to 5 events a week and work on just the experience of when you walk in the door with cocktails, food, and activations. And Chris supports me in all that I do.
Yeah, so I'm Senior Vice President of Hurrdat Media. I really do whatever Meg needs me to do, whether that's mopping or moving or cleaning or whatever, but try to support her so we can have the greatest experience for people that walk in the door.
And we're not talking about around the office. We bought a restaurant.
We bought a bar.
That's a bar.
That's the name of the episode, right?
Go that way. Yep. So how? Why? Where did we come up with this idea?
So Hail Varsity is an incredible brand. Before we had Hail Varsity in our suite of companies, it's where I got all my news. I trusted the writers more. I always loved the photography. That's where I got all of my Husker news. So when we bought Hail Varsity, we always try to find ways of how we could extend the brand. And brick and mortar was something that was always on our minds of like, how do we do this? And when we started managing the rail yard in Lincoln, that was always the goal, is like, hey, let's open up a Hail Varsity club where people can come and be Husker fans and, share their experiences, good or bad, with, other Husker fans. COVID hit, which delayed our plans of opening a bar. So we kicked that can down the road. We exited our rail yard contract. And since then, we've been trying to find the perfect time and the perfect opportunity to open up a Hail Varsity club. And so we started looking at different properties. We found quite a few that were like sort of close, something that could work, but we really landed on this spot in La Vista that ended up just being the perfect place. Great bones, great TVs, great location, like had really everything that we needed. We just needed to put that Hail Varsity touch on it. And through the help of, our incredible writers, the Hail Varsity community, Quentin, who did our beautiful accent wall, which includes all of the covers and all of the art. Like, I find something new every time I walk in there and look at it. It's really cool. But we really had this community of people that came in to make this like what a Hail Varsity bar should look like.
Yeah, it's definitely been built from like the ground up. I mean, as you mentioned, the bones were there, like it was a restaurant previously, but where did we start? How did we start planning for this? I mean, it's so different than running an agency or running a media company, like any of the other things that we've done. So where do we start?
Yeah. So with the bar, like, and a lot of people are like, like we talked to one of our friends who owns a bar in Lincoln. We're like, hey, we bought a bar. And his first response was, why? Yeah. Because I mean, it is hard. Like it is, most of us have lived there. I mean, we started doing this in February. Like most of us lived there for really every day, like trying to get this thing to where it needed to be. And like from the surface level, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, hey, you guys are a marketing agency and you do films and podcasts. Like, why are you trying to operate a restaurant? But a lot of the same skill sets are in there. It's like, hey, how do we organize? How do we hire the right people? How do we give world-class experiences to not only our agency clients, which Max does extremely well, like how do we extend that over on the media side and create an experience for these fans? So really from the ground up is like, one, like let's get the right people. And we were super lucky to find Meg Ryan, who has an incredible wealth of experience. If you walk by her desk, she has laminates from all over the country of the stuff that she's worked on. So right place, right time for her to come in and join the family. Hope, who's our bar manager and mixologist, was just a really lucky find. Her dad and brother both have a podcast here on the network, and she was just visiting one night and told us what she did. And we're like, oh my gosh, like
sweet.
It's super serendipitous. And then, Renee, who manages our kitchen, like we just had to build like this core group of people that understood the vision and like understand like, hey, this isn't just the next whatever XYZ bar and grill. Like this is going to be different. This is going to be elevated food. This is going to be an elevated experience, especially for Nebraska fans. So it started with the people. Then we had to get our facility right, which we spent months cleaning and decorating and like refitting this place to work for our needs. I mean, there was a giant refrigerator in the middle of our bar that didn't function the way that we needed to. So we had to gut that whole thing out and put up this beautiful black subway tile behind the bar. And it like fits what we're doing. And then we had to create a world-class menu. We had partners that we went through a test kitchen, which is one of my favorite days that we did, because it was
Not
just
a bad job.
Yeah, it was like just 4 hours of like, hey, here, try 7 different types of fries. Like, try this different type of meat. Like, squeeze this bun and and figure out all this crazy stuff. And that, like, the first time that we saw the Nebraska charcuterie, when we knew that was going to be a hit on the menu, everybody pulled out their phones. Like, as soon as it came out in test kitchen, we're like, that's it. And we knew that it had to go on the menu right then and there. So yeah, people, facility, world-class menu. And then Meg has really done a good job. Like, there's really no other bar, restaurant, and venue. Like, so the thing we haven't talked about yet is there is the sports bar side, and then there is the venue side of Hail Varsity Club, which is called Hurrdat Live. And what we intend to do there, and what we've been doing for the last few months, is putting on these great events featuring things that you don't get to see elsewhere, like athlete engagements that you can have. We have Bravo talent that's on the podcast network that's been in there. Like, we're planning more of those things. Radio shows that you get to participate in live. Like, we have access to all this talent, all these great people, and by having the physical extension of what we're doing, it doesn't have to just live at this table on a podcast. It can be there for fans to understand. And I think the biggest one, the success we've had so far, is Schick and Nick, who came and did a live episode, which we knew. Cool. Yeah, we knew it was going to be big just because we know how people love that show. But I don't think we anticipated. One guy got sent there at 11 a.m. right when we opened. Like, he was like the sacrificial lamb, and he had to go like sit in the restaurant until the live show at 4 p.m. There were lines around the building. We had that place completely packed. And I think that's what Meg does a really good job at, is herding all of the cats and making sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. And we put on the show that we promised to do. But the venue side is going to host probably 200 events per year. And these are things that you're only going to find at Hail Varsity Club. And that's, again, Meg has done an incredible job of planning those things.
Yeah. And I think having all this talent with like the diverse sports, media, music, anything like that, creates like a calendar that's you can't find anywhere else. Like, you could go to a music venue and you're just going to see bands, or you can go to comedy, you're just going to see comedy. But here it's like we have kind of everything for every type of fan. So that's been something that's been really fun to kind of plan and strategize around. Yeah,
and I think especially when we talk about it, as you kind of mentioned, like how it fits into our Hurrdat family, it makes a lot of sense for our clients as well, because we had clients that we were already doing agency service for, like, website or social, and then they move into a podcast, but now they have that space where they can do a podcast live from our event space, or maybe they host their company party at our space, and maybe they're advertisers in Hail Varsity, and that's another way for them to reach and engage with like Husker fans. So it sounds absurd at first, like, oh, we bought a bar, but it actually makes a lot of sense in our Hurrdat family.
Yeah.
So how did agency support this launch, and what were some of the things that agency helped with?
So, I mean, we're super fortunate to have the full strength of the agency behind it. You know, it's cool to deliver things for clients, but when you get to kind of act as a client, it's kind of fun to see. So, like, all the way down from local search on Google, like, we had a previous location that we had to scrub from the internet, which is easier said than done. And Max does an incredible job of developing those strategies and implementing them. Like, so, like, ground up, had to redo everything on Google. We had to have creative jump in. You know, Max Riffner and Quentin and Scott Miller have been instrumental in making this feel like a sports bar that deserves to have Hail Varsity branding on it.
Yeah, it feels like an extension of the brand. Like, you're actually experiencing our brand.
Yeah, because you treat these things. Mickey Joseph, when he took over interim head coach, he said this is bigger than all of us, like Nebraska football. And Hail Varsity has always felt that way to me, that it is bigger than all of us, and the brand needs to be respected. And so if we were going to do this, like, we had to do it right. And that's down to, hey, here are the glasses that we're using. Here's the silverware. Here's what menu items go on here. Here's what menu items don't go on here. So agency supported creative, local search. The website is beautiful. It's one of my favorite websites that we've built. It feels good to use it and interact with it. It gets people information they need quickly. And it feels different than most sports bars in the area. And then from social content, like social team that's part of the strategy, is there's social team members there when we have events. And then films too, like films is coming in. And they've been filming all of our like signature events. Like they'll be here this weekend when we have our women in sports panel with Aaron Sorensen and Anna, and Jordan Larson. Like they will film that and capture that. Like not only is that a cool, unique experience that we haven't seen anywhere else, like we have the marketing agency behind it to support and show how cool these events are. And then on podcasts, like we've been able to advertise the shows that we have on the podcast and help them, give them some opportunities. Like Dan Hoppin, who has Restaurant Hoppin on the network, like he hosted a Hawaiian night featuring Nick, who's a chef at Block 16, to come in, take over our grill, and have this really cool event with Hawaiian food and music, and people to experience that. So we have our social team capturing that. We have our podcast that is there and able to talk about on his podcast and like show the world this great, incredible food that, is not on our menu, but it's something that we endorse and, want to show the world. But really top to bottom, agency has thrown its full force behind it. And that is why I think we're seeing as much success as we are.
Yeah, and I know we've added in paid and email as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I think like as we continue to grow, or as we launch new things like hosting events, or we just have the resources here to be able to pivot quickly. I know we've already redesigned our site once, and we haven't even been open that long. So it's just nice to be able to have these resources to be able to support that. Whereas I think if you're a standalone restaurant, you have to go out and find an agency and then budget for what you can. And prioritize for your marketing strategies, but it's all in-house here.
And help them understand, like, hey, here's our brand story. Like here, we've all been living in it for so long that you don't have to train people or show people what the brand is about too much, because you see it on the walls every day at headquarters.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the experience actually at Hail Varsity Club, and what's the membership about?
Yeah, so beyond just coming in and being a regular, we have a Hail Varsity subscriber membership. And I think it's the same price as a regular membership, $6.99 a month. So they get the physical and the website access to Hail Varsity, the news, the Husker coverage, but also when they come to watch Husker sports at Hail Varsity Club, HVC, they get 10% off food. They get their beer upgraded to a bigger cup that has branding on it. And then they get discounts and special, event invites. So they'll get access to tickets maybe 24 hours before the public do. So these smaller, intimate, exclusive events they have first access to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, like, when I've done the math, it more than pays for itself if you come and are visiting their restaurant. And obviously it adds to the experience on top of that. So
yeah, totally. And with, Nebraska football and volleyball right now, some people are coming to the restaurant twice a week, and it just makes a lot of sense. Bring your family, take 10% off your food, get a little bit of extra beer, and hang out for the game. And it really does pay for itself.
Yeah, I really do love that environment, because obviously I've been to other sports bars with friends to watch a game and things, and I feel like really comfortable at Hail Varsity Club because it's not like your dingy hole in the wall sports bar. It's an actual experience, and you feel like you're like we talk about like every game's an away game because it's not actually here, but it feels like you're part of Husker Nation at that time. Like we had the pep band in, right? Like the alumni band.
Had the pep band in for the first game, and we'll have them for all the away games. So they'll come in during halftime and really rally the attendees and fans, and it's just really fun, and it feels like you're at the stadium when you get that, the trumpets and trombones walking by you.
So what do we have coming up at Hail Varsity Club this month?
So now that it's getting into fall, we're doing some kind of Halloween and fall-themed activities and events. So on October 8th, we have lumberjack games where teams can compete in various, like, fall and outdoorsy. We'll have, like, inflatable axe throwing and stuff like that. And then we're going to start our own cocktail class series with our mixologist, Hope. So that will be late October, some Halloween parties on the agenda, and then just kind of gearing into holiday season. So we'll be doing a lot of holiday parties, possibly some more pop-up foodie events that, piggyback off the Aloha event that went really well, and just kind of expanding events from there.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I know there's a lot of fun things planned. So what goes into planning an event? Like, where do you even start with planning all this? Sounds like we have a lot going on.
So when an event comes through to me, the first step is we fill out the event submission form. With my past experience, I've kind of created basically a list of questions that I need answered in order to put the pieces together. So I work with either the client or the internal brand to fill out that form, get, some feedback from them, and then we start planning. So then I kind of go off and work with the agency to get graphic design created, copy written for the event marketing and stuff like that, and then we'll launch the event and usually have different promotional partners for it. So just working together to kind of spread the word about these events, and then on my end, kind of just making sure the run of show is put together and pieces are being put together, and there's not kind of no stone left unturned of okay, let's make sure we have security if we need it, or, I'll talk to the general manager and be like, let's make sure that we have enough staff that everyone has a great experience, because we're going to be packed, and we don't want, we want people to come to the event and also have a great time, eating and drinking and experiencing the restaurant as well. So, kind of just getting things, putting the pieces together with all the different internal stakeholders, and then, if there's externals, just making sure that they have a great experience with us so we can build a relationship and have more events.
Well, I know the events I've been to have been awesome, and I know it is so much more than just running a restaurant, because you have all of these other things going on in the restaurant space and in the event space. So amazing. I have to ask, what's your favorite thing on the menu?
My favorite menu item, and I'm going to sound like an 8-year-old, are the boneless chicken tenders with the Cajun dry rub with a side of fries and ranch.
Oh, always a amazing. Ranch. Yeah, the ranch is amazing.
It's so good.
What about you, Meg?
I love the buffalo chicken wrap. So crispy or grilled, and I just like blue cheese, and the buffalo sauce is really good. And then always fries and ranch.
Oh, yum. My favorite's the onion petals with the bang bang shrimp sauce.
Oh yeah,
that is so money. Good. I love that. Yeah. So
I had for the first time the Big Pig pizza a couple game days ago, and that thing is a winner.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I always forget that the pizza's on the menu, because I just start at the appetizers, and then I'm like, okay, I have wings, I have onion petals, and then maybe I order a wrap or something, and I never get down to that pizza place, but the pizza is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think I've ever said that really about bar food.
Right.
So I feel like our menu is an amazing menu, especially for this sports bar space.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to thank you both for being on our show.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah. And remember to like and follow Hail Varsity Club as well, so you can get the upcoming events, announcements, and offers as well.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you.
I've Heard That is a part of the Hurrdat Media Network. For more information, follow Hurrdat on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram, or visit hurrdatmarketing.com.
A Hurrdat Media Production.